Good morning, guys. We're just finishing up a quick break, and then we're going to get started. Okay, where do you order your signs? Like your open house signs?
I haven't.
Dave still borrows mine.
I borrow hers, and then I bought a bunch of generic ones at the Home Depot and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I can have this right here for a second. If you want to scoot one down, you can if that's not too much in your way. No, it's okay.
So, would it make sense to?
Oh, and I really need this on.
Would it make sense to have it more right here, so that it has a little more direct?
You.
All right. And I'll scoot it back.
You know, I can minimize that if you don't want to just throw you off looking at yourself. I normally mean you need a whole track here, but
it's backwards like a mirror.
So basically, this is your boundaries at the moment.
Right here, I can go like this.
You can still walk around; it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as they can hear you, just remember to project your voice towards the speaker. Pretty hard to leave those confined here. Is there anything that you need? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right.
I have no plan, so that should be.
Gas and things like that. That's to be expected. And then let me just say one more copy of this real quick. Welcome. I'm sorry. I think how many guys are there? Oh, I'm sure. Oh, well, welcome to the Wesley Chapel office.
Supposed to come with Susie Kobina.
Oh, okay.
But she couldn't make it.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm meeting with her tomorrow. At the Trinity office, helping her with some stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, oh, yeah, by the way, guys, I'm meeting with Cindy tomorrow. FYI. But I'll make a note. So, okay, perfect. Well, welcome. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Here. Thanks, man. All right, let me rally everyone back up.
Giving me a lot of credit there.
This is what we're doing now? Yes. Oh, maybe they're previous one?
This is, this is what we're doing, but, I haven't even looked at this. But
It'll make sense.
it'll fall into place.
Oh, okay, all right.
Next one is
All right, you guys ready?
yes, ready.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to class 2 of intensity. So today we're gonna have our special guest, Mr. Dave Cribs here, and he's gonna teach you guys all about prospecting. So those of you who are new and don't know Mr. Dave Cribs, he is our sales ninja master. He comes from about 3 decades of being in the auto industry. He's served at every level, the highest, even a national sales trainer. He's also an Amazon best-selling author, which now he's coming out with another book that I just found about via Facebook. Thanks for that, by the way. He's been in a ton of other things, starting by the blade. Also, you guys, he started out when he got out of the auto industry, he started out with new home sales. Working out for a new home construction, so you guys definitely have to catch any of his new construction classes. But doing that for the very first year, you guys, not knowing anything about selling homes, just knowing sales in general, he became Rookie of the Year his first year, not just in Florida, but across 5 states, you guys. So let's give it up for Mr. Dave Cribs this morning. Thank you.
I want to meet that guy, whoever she's talking about. Holy crap. It sure sounds good. Yes, I am that old. I got,
You're all gonna go to the jail.
I got great grandkids, great grandchildren. So I want to start off today, first of all, saying that, even though that was a wonderful introduction, my focus is just like yours right now, and that's being a realtor in real estate. So we have that in common. We're going to talk about that today. And one thing I know as a realtor is this. Anybody with me?
Yeah.
I need a deal. I mean, I wake up every morning going, oh my God, I need a deal. Like I'm jonesing, like I need a deal, right? So we're going to talk about how to get a deal. That really is what this class is all about, is prospecting, right? Because that's ultimately, I will share this with you as well. And then I'm going to go around the room for a moment and kind of do some introductions. But ultimately, if there is a secret sauce to real estate and being successful in real estate, it's this. I mean, it is this idea of prospecting, right? Because that's the only way, really, that we're going to get a deal. And I'm only looking for one, by the way. I'm only looking for one deal. Then I look for the next one, right? And then the next one. So I really am only looking for one deal, though, when I'm focusing on prospecting. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But I like to start every class off with some good news and some introductions. I recognize about half of the room, and about half the room I don't. So real quick, can we just go around and say our names?
Sunny Flores.
Sunny Flores. Sandy. Sandy.
Olga Garcia.
Say that again?
Olga Garcia.
Olga Garcia.
Edwin Papin.
Edwin Papin. Okay.
Wayne Fisher.
Wayne Fisher.
Stacy Robinson.
Stacy Robinson. Emma, that's what I said.
Donna
I noticed I left out the last part.
Half.
Donna.
Half.
Monia. Sterling. Oh gosh, what a beautiful name.
Victoria Givan.
Victoria. Joanne, great to see you here. Thank you so much for everybody for coming. Does anybody have any good news they want to share? Something that's happened in the last 48 hours as far as real estate goes?
I had my first open house.
Woo! I saw that, by the way, on Facebook. I was proud of you.
And I did Facebook Live, which I was totally afraid of, and I forced myself through it.
Awesome. Awesome. I recognize that too. I saw that too. And Victoria. Awesome. Saturday you going on a preview? So that was from prospecting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is that a for sale by owner or expired or what is
No,
that? From your circle of influence? Okay, perfect. So let's talk about, oh, and by the way, I have some good news too, as you guys heard just a moment ago, but I heard someone ask that question, what's a strong offer? Yesterday I had a really strong offer because I've been working with these people for quite a while, they're buyers, and we found a home that fit all the boxes and actually I felt was underpriced. So we came in at a full price offer. It hasn't even hit the MLS yet. And the deal was just accepted. So we sent that over last night, and the deal was accepted today. So that's exciting as well. So that buyer came from an open house that I did, which we call Mega Open House, which if you're here next week on Tuesday, you'll kind of learn a lot about that. But And at that open house we lost count after 30, but we figured we had around 50 in that open house in 2 hours. So if you want to learn more about that, then come back here next Tuesday and we'll be talking about that. But yeah, so that's another success story from the open house. So a great way to prospect, which happens to be our topic, right? So, so in talking about prospecting, I think that we need to understand some facts about prospecting. Prospecting is, as I mentioned earlier, it's really kind of the secret weapon in the real estate, meaning that this is where you're going to make it or break it in real estate. But all of this intensity training and all the stuff that we have to learn as realtors, that we have to kind of have knowledge about and understand. I put it in one box. And then I put prospecting in a completely different box, because you almost don't need to worry about any of that stuff when it comes to prospecting. A lot of it ties in, and I'm going to try to make this make sense. But a favorite quote of mine by someone that I follow, that's a great mentor for me, is commit first and figure it out later. Commit first and figure it out later. Because you have a huge support team and support staff that can help you figure it out. Like if I went out tomorrow and I met a buyer at Starbucks and set an appointment with them, the first thing I would do is set the appointment to go to help figure out what they need and show them a home, right? Even if I was a brand new agent, right? In theory, I could do that, right? I just met someone at Starbucks. They find out I'm a realtor. They go, hey, could you help me find a house, right? Now, it's not always that easy, right? As we know. But let's just say for a moment that that was the case, that we got lucky at Starbucks. The first thing we're going to do is set a time to meet with them so we can move forward, right? Did we need to know anything else?
No.
At that point, in order to just say, hey, let's meet on Saturday. And we'll figure it out later, right? We got to commit first, figure it out later. The same with once we find a home. Let's say we did meet with them. Let's say that gave us a few days maybe to prepare, right? To come go, hey, Sharice, oh my God, help me. I got someone that wants to buy a house, right? What do I do next? So we might have a few days to prepare for that, but we're not going to learn how to do real estate in 3 days, are we? So now we've got an appointment with this buyer. We do the basics of what we need to do, maybe go show them a house that we figured out. But now they found a house they love, right? Maybe it's day one. They're ready to make an offer. We're still going to take them, aren't we? To show them those homes. Yeah. We're going to hope that we find the right one, right? Now we're back at that point. We don't know what to do because, oh my gosh, now they want the house. What do I do next? All we do is pick up the phone, right? Call Sharice. Hey, Calvary, please. The point is that don't let anything inhibit you from the prospecting. You've got to be sold on this. Remember, I know you'll probably remember Donna from previous training, Emma, Victoria, but I say this in every training because I'm so sold on it. But you have to be sold before you can sell, right? Ultimately, we're selling. That's what we're doing as real estate agents. We're selling. And we have to be sold before we can sell. And the first sale is to who? Ourselves. We have to sell ourselves. And when I say sell ourselves, I don't mean like, yeah, I agree, or that's a good idea. No, I'm talking about you're sold out, like no one can convince you. You know what I mean? Like if you got the prettiest baby in the world, ain't nobody gonna tell you it's an ugly baby, right? Because you believe that it's the prettiest baby in the world. That's how you need to feel about everything that you do in sales. If you don't feel that way, you have to do one of two things. You have to either figure out what gets you to that point where you can get behind something, or you have to say, I'm not behind it, and it would be unethical for me to sell or move forward in that area. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So once I'm sold out, and that's the good news too, by the way, is that no matter what I'm selling, it could be an offer that I'm trying to sell. It could be anything. But once I'm sold on it, I can now sell it with conviction because I'm sold out, because I'm passionate, because I know it's the best thing, right? And that's going to be more effective. Would you agree? All right. So, Sharice, the battery says it's low. Okay. So, So what I was laying there was the foundation in which we want to go into mentally internalizing the fact that that prospecting really is the secret sauce, and it is the one thing that's going to determine your success in real estate, period, right? So, and that doesn't matter where you're at, day one, day whatever. So if I'm sold on prospecting, will I do it?
Yes, you're more confident.
Right. So what I'm going to challenge you to do in this class is to get to being sold, not just sold, but sold out when it comes to prospecting, so that we'll actually do it. So some of the ways that we're going to talk about that is we need some facts about prospecting. Let's talk about the facts. And I'm just going to list some. Where all deals come from. That's a fact, Jack.
Yeah.
It's where all deals come from. You can say, well, no, I got a referral. How'd you get the referral? Because someone knew you were in real estate, right? You put something out there that someone knew you were in real estate. So every deal comes from prospecting. So if you knew going into this where every deal sits, would you want to hang out in that area?
Yeah, of course.
That's where I want to hang out. So if every deal comes from prospecting, then how high on the list of importance would you say it is in your real estate business?
200%.
Yeah, probably hitting that low. Right? A gazillion%, right? So we know that that's a fact. Okay. What else do we know about prospecting?
How do you make money?
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to say, because sometimes I ask the question and it's not real obvious, so you know. But I just enjoy doing it. Probably because I like doing that. I don't know. But what I'm a big proponent of and a big fan of, and what I love about the fact of prospecting, let me put prospecting facts. Handicap. Oh, I didn't put, oh.
You didn't finish the deal.
Yeah, you might want to spell it right. Look, my parents told me to take me a little longer than the other kids, okay? So here's the deal. Here's the cool thing about prospecting. You can handicap prospecting. What does that mean?
You can change it based on what level you're at.
Well, to me, what it means is that, and you're all right, but what it means is that I can increase my odds. I can handicap it. It's like going to Vegas. Who has the advantage? The house, right? But not by much, but they make them $1 gazillion by having the advantage. I want to find the advantage, the handicap. And then I want to exploit it in a big, big way when I'm prospecting. But what do you think one of the handicaps or one of the great things about prospecting in real estate is? Because ultimately what we're trying to do, and I'm going to help you out here, ultimately what we're trying to do when we're prospecting is find a customer. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So if ultimately we're trying to find a customer, what is a fact that we know about real estate and where we might find a customer that we can handicap that and have a big advantage? No, I'll give you another. I'm going to give you another hint. In fact, before I do that, all right, let me cheat a little. The thing we know about prospecting that gives us a good handicap is that we know where to find customers in certain places. Now, here's the deal. Everybody needs a home, right? But that's not what I'm talking about, because everyone is potentially a prospect. But if we begin to handicap it, we look for places where we find people that are looking for homes, right? Or trying to sell a home. So where would some of those places be? Expired listings. Keep going. Keep going.
For sale by owner.
For sale by owner, FSBO. What else?
Withdrawal.
Sorry?
Withdrawal.
Withdrawn. Well, okay, well, yeah,
Temporary off the market.
okay. What else?
Out and about in the community,
Growing families.
restaurants.
Circles, from the circle.
How are you gonna know if someone is trying to buy or sell a home in a restaurant?
Talking with them.
Okay, that's a
communicating with
different form, but we're talking about handicapping it right now, not just in general. But where do we find people we know are trying to buy or sell a home?
them. At open
Events.
houses.
Open houses. Where else? Facebook ads. Boom. Who thinks that might get more popular? Where else? Zillow, Zillow, Julia, whatever those, Realtor.com, whatever those things are, websites. Where else? Driving around. Okay, so signs, right? Signs in the community. Any others? So, let me ask you this question. Did I just now handicap or give myself an advantage as to where to find someone buying or selling a home?
Mhm.
Okay. And if I know that I have to find a customer in order to get a deal, I know prospecting is the number one thing because I know all deals come from prospecting. And then I go, and this is the low-hanging fruit, should I hang out here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, what is my main? And I'm gonna actually, before I go there, I'm gonna kind of go back in a way to being sold because I want to get you sold. I'll keep kind of throwing things in along the way so that by the time we finish the class, we're all sold out. As a realtor, do you feel, and I'm asking you personally, do you feel like a door-to-door salesman?
I don't want to be one.
Okay, you say sometimes. Just please share real quick.
I mean, for example, when I was in Ghana for the open house, so we put the sign and then we start knocking on the doors from the house. So I'm knocking on someone who I knew nothing about, and he was not talking about me, so I felt like I'm son.
You are going
No,
door to
not
door.
really
That's
son,
right.
I would just introduce him and
Yeah.
tell him, please, what, how you do, communicate, how you.
Okay,
But you know, that feeling, you're knocking on someone you know nothing about, it's like you're selling, you know.
I understand. Completely understand that. Victoria?
I don't feel like a salesperson, period.
Okay,
I don't like men knocking on people's doors.
okay,
So I don't know if my confidence or something of the sort is not strong enough to do that.
okay.
So
All right.
I don't like.
So the reason I asked that question is I want to share with you that you're not door-to-door salesman, even when you go door-to-door. Or you're not, and I'll go a step further. It's not just from me to you. Publicly, like the public, for the most part, the public's place realtors in a different category, which is the good news, by the way, for you guys. Because, you know, if you call with a good message, most of the time, they're going to listen. They're not just, you're not like, hey, you know, this is Omaha Steak Club, and, you know, you spend $300 today on steaks, you get a free, you know, chocolate cake. It's not like that. It's something completely different. And I want you to begin to think of yourselves, what I would share with you, is as a community ambassador, okay? Because you really are, at the end of the day, that's what you are. And you're a professional expert in real estate in that community, right? Would you agree?
Mhm.
Okay. So the point to that is if you go in thinking or feeling like you're just a salesperson, which we are salespeople, by the way, but if you think that you're in that category of that perception of, oh, it's just a sales call or it's just a this or that, drop that immediately. Because you'll sound like, guess what? A door-to-door salesperson. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? Each of us have something that I would hope, I certainly do, but each of us have something inside us that helps, you know, separate us in that way, where we're not just the typical salesperson. I go back to, I've always viewed real estate agents as the people who had it together. They were the ones who drove the nice cars and the ones who marketed well and the ones who were the professionals. And, of course, I did have a little tainted vision of what it would be like in real estate from watching these TV shows, right? Because I thought for sure when I got my license, they were going to pick me up in an SUV. My driver was going to take me around town and I was going to make multi-million-dollar deals, but no one picked me up. So, but the point to that is that, how we think of and how we feel about ourselves is going to impact how we come across to the public. And that's going to become more important when we get into some role plays and talking about word tracks and things that we're going to use when we actually talk to that prospect, because it's a whole nother ballgame. Expired FISBOs withdrawn, open houses, Facebook ads, blah, 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 blah. Let me just check my little notes. I actually made a couple here. Oh, so where I was going with that is that two things that I want you to write down. These two things when it comes to prospecting. Not only will help sell you on it, but will get you more comfortable with actually doing it. One is that, and this is probably the most important thing up front, is that it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. Oh, that's a Charisse special? Oh, yeah, well, I'll do that impression as well. No, I won't do it today. I did my best one day when you weren't here. It's just a conversation. And what I mean by that, and here's the really good news for us as realtors, I really truly believe this, is that unlike a lot of sales jobs, okay, we don't really have someone that's standing over us beating the whip. That's the good news. The bad news is we don't have anyone standing over us beating the whip. But the point is that there's not a lot at risk when you talk with a client. You build up and you make it all anxious and you get, and it's natural. Even when you've done it 10 or 20 years, it's natural, I guarantee it. But the point is, when you examine it, when you think about it, the fear or the rejection or the whatever, you had nothing before you made the call or before you reached out. You didn't have a deal, did you, with that person? You just met. You have an opportunity to have a deal. No one's gonna literally punch you in the face, okay, because you didn't say the right thing. And what happens is when you get this kind of internalized and you begin picking up the phone and you just go to the next one, not making it impersonal, but starting literally from scratch. The moment you hang up the phone, you pick up another one. By the way, another tip is don't put time in between your prospecting. If let's say you sit down and I'm going to make calls for the next hour, you hang up the phone, you pick it up. You hang up the phone, you pick it up. You hang up the phone, you pick it up. Because you're just going to talk yourself out of it sometimes, okay? Especially if the call didn't go well. But who believes if they made 100 calls consistently and did them the same way, that some would be bad and some would be good? Would everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Some will be bad, some will be good. Are you willing? The big question is, are you willing to go through the bad ones because you know that the good ones are there? So keep that in mind as well. So at the end of the day, it's just a conversation. No one's going to get hurt. And here's this is the big one coming up. You need to be fully aware and conscious and internalize and all that good stuff. You'll hear me say that word a lot, internalize, because I want to be living it like all the time. I want to be conscious of it. You, and all of you, each of you individually, you influence the outcome when you prospect. You influence the outcome. There's no question about it. If you crash and burn, would you be influencing the outcome? If you say the right things, would you be influencing the outcome? So either way, you influence the outcome. That's a lot of power for one person. And in fact, I wrote that because I want to share with you how to influence the outcome in a good way. Would that be cool?
Yeah.
All right.
Tell us the secret.
Tell us the secret. Well, we're going to talk about some successful ways to address a customer, is the bottom line, that are going to be different. So now, let's go back to this. If we know the secret sauce to being successful as real estate agents is prospecting, and we know it's where all deals come from, and someone has been so generous in this universe as to handicap it really for us, because all we got to do is look now, expired FSBO, da-da-da-da-da. Now I want to go to these places. But let's talk about some more facts here. I'm going to erase this for a moment. I'm going to work with the first, or the top three, if that's okay with you guys. It's what I call the low-hanging fruit. Everybody understand low-hanging fruit? Expired, FSBO, and open houses. Aren't these all the ones that are talked about by realtors, like as far as like in real estate school and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then when you come to join a brokerage, it's all about, let's get on the expireds, the FSBOs, and the expired, or the open houses, right? So, they are great resources for the simple fact that these are the facts, and we'll go with the facts again. What are the facts? I love facts, I can utilize them. But what are the facts about an expired FSBO or open house person?
They're motivated.
Motivated? Why are they motivated?
They want to sell their house.
And they expire.
One's there.
Right. I'm gonna skip this and go right to the meat, which is they're in the market right now, trying to do something. Like they're attempting to do what you're wanting to do for them right now in real time, right? So they're in the market now. Can you think of a hotter prospect than someone who's in the market right now to do what you're trying to do with them? Okay, so that's why we hang out in these areas. What is the other fact? Well, give me a couple more facts. Or there's one in particular I'm really looking for here, by the way. But they have a house. They have a house, yes. We determined that. What else do we know about expired FSBOs? Well, let me make it easier. What else do we know about prospecting expired FSBOs and open houses from their perspective?
Real estate agents didn't do a good job, or they don't like it.
They're looking for information.
I don't know. I don't know that a FSBO is looking for information.
I mean, expired, we know that, we were talking to some expired, we know that we believe that they already made that decision to hire.
That's a great point.
FSBO is maybe different because you have to convince them in the first place to find it.
That's a great point. Believes in realtor. Let me give you guys another quick hot tip on this one, because I'll just say it, but we have the intel on the expired, meaning that we know how long their home's been on the market. We know how much it was, right? But what else do we know about that? A little inside scoop. We know the commission structure that they agreed to. We know what they agreed to pay an agent, buyers and sellers, right? That's kind of cool information to have when we're figuring out stuff. What else do we know about these three from the client or the customer, the prospect's perspective?
We know FSBO doesn't like to hire.
We have a motivation to sell.
A motivation to sell. What else do we know from their perspective? When it comes to prospecting, is anybody else calling these leads?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How many?
A lot.
Who has called who has called any of these and they said, oh yeah, I'm getting a lot of calls from realtors?
Yep, and you've gotta stand out somehow.
Tons of calls, right? So it's one of those good news and bad news again, right? Some realtors won't prospect any of those, even though they're the hottest prospects on the market. They won't even mess with them, won't touch them, any of them. Why? Because they know every realtor in town is trying to touch them, right? Not in a bad way, that'll get you arrested, but you know what I'm saying. The point though is that everyone's trying to reach them. So now, if I'm prospecting them and I know that, and by the way, it's a really cool thing that I know that, because I can do things a little bit different. So what do you say? What do you say when they say, you know, I'm not, I had 100 calls from realtors this week. Realtors are blowing my phone up. Everyone wants a listing. I'm not interested in doing that. I'll just tell you that right now.
I'm sorry, I texted one that the other day, and I said, yeah, I know you're inundated with a lot of calls from different realtors, but I'd like you to introduce myself. And tell you about me and my company.
Okay,
Well, means that people back in town and do this.
there you go.
Yeah.
Great job. Great job. So I'm going to kind of share a couple things real quick. And let's remember when I mentioned earlier that it's just a conversation. So when you reach out to these, I want you to do less selling and more conversating. Okay? And the cool thing is, if you think about each one of these, what did we say we had on the expired?
A lot of information.
We have a lot of information, right? We already know how it's performing in the market. We know what the price is. We know what they're willing. We know all these things, right? So when it comes to an expired, when we reach out, one of the first things that I'm going to share or say to, and by the way, when it comes to effective communication, effective prospecting, you know what? I hate to even use that. That just sounds, I don't like to sound like another class. How about we just be real simple? We just want to say what makes sense and gets their attention. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, because if it's just a conversation and I want to separate myself and I don't want to be a door-to-door salesperson while I'm calling, or sound like I'm calling from a call center, or sound like I'm on my 100th call, what I want to do is slow it down and go, hey, what do I know about this person before I pick up the phone? Don't spend too much time researching, you'll never make the call. But what do I know about this person? Okay, I know it expired. I know they listed it for 3 months here. They withdraw it. They put it back. They lowered the price over here. This is where they're at. Da, 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 da. So now when I pick up the phone, I have at least a little bit of that, right? So I'm going to say something a little different. The first thing I'm going to do is disarm them. Kind of like, and I'm going to disarm them with the thing that I know that I have to disarm, which is that they're getting 100 calls from realtors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just like Victoria mentioned, that's how she started out that text, which is great. Textbook text. Anyway, that was a joke, by the way, you can laugh. So if I know they're getting 100 calls, so the first thing I'm going to probably open up with when I call that client is I'm going to say, hey, so-and-so, this is David, Florida Luxury Realty. I was just looking at a listing that you had, and I had some interest in that home, but I'm looking, and it looks like it may have expired. Is it still available? What does the customer think?
That you might have someone to look at.
Right. At this point, with this customer who's gotten a ton of calls, they're probably 50-50. That's gonna be an initial thought, and they're gonna go, oh, and as soon as they think it, they're gonna go, oh, no, but it's a realtor, right? They're probably just trying to go somewhere else with it. They're trying to sneak in the back door, right? So, as soon as they say, well, we had it listed, but we decided we're probably gonna wait a while, right? I'll say something like this. I'll say something like, well, look, I realize you've probably gotten a million different phone calls from realtors. I just want to let you know right up front, I'm not calling to get your listing or anything like that. I wanted to have a quick conversation because this is a neighborhood that I'm in. I know you have an expired listing. I have some buyers that are looking at several homes like this. Would you consider selling? So, do you see the difference there?
Yeah.
Now, does he or she think that I'm after that listing?
No.
Am I after the listing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Is it deceptive? Huh?
Yes.
It is?
Well.
I disagree.
But do you actually have the buyers?
Find ways.
You know, I've done that.
I do. I do. I do. Yes, because, and here's how I do. Donna, do you have a buyer that you're working with? Does anyone have a buyer they're working with right
Yes.
now? Okay. Donna, you have a buyer. What's the price point they're at?
2 to 250.
2 to 250. Okay. So if I were able to, I'm just asking, but if I,
Actually, 260.
okay, if I were able to find a home that was 250 to 260 that met the requirements of your buyer, could I tell you about it? Okay, you would like me to tell you about it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, is it okay if I tell you about this one
It's expired.
that's expired? Because our whole team works with buyers. We have 250 agents. We're working with buyers all the time. This is in one of the areas, the hot areas that we work in. If I were able to bring you a buyer, would you be open to still selling it? You see what I'm doing there?
I see.
How do we find that agent? I would like.
Okay, so here's what you do. If you were to go preview this property, because next, I'm not lining up a buyer yet. I'm lining up an appointment. My goal, by the way, on every phone call is to not make a sale, but to make this. I want to make an appointment.